closing arguments.
Members of the jury. Intent is a very important word to remember. As it applies to this case, it means to act with a purpose, an aim, a goal. Now, let's juxtapose that with the people's argument. But before we do, I'd like for you to hold in your mind the image of a person on a sinking ship. Mr. Jones would like for you to believe that the facts speak for themselves. My client used the N-word, therefore he is guilty of provocative and malicious hate speech. Mr. Jones would further have you believe that every defense witness that he cross-examined, including my client, satisfied the question of intent in your minds. But he didn't, did he? And why shouldn't Mr. Jones feel vindicated? A person on a sinking ship will cling to anything that he or she believes would prolong life. Much like the people's case has been from the very beginning, sinking, sinking, sinking. On one hand, we have Mr. Smith's statement, uttered during a highly charged yet understandably emotional experience. But what we don't have, and it is the very thing that Judge Stone will instruct you that the law requires in order for you to find Mr. Smith guilty of provocative and malicious hate speech, is violence, or an expressed willingness to engage in violent or reckless conduct. Mr. Smith didn't assault anyone. He didn't say, "Nigga, I'm going to beat your ass," or "Nigga, I'm going to kill you." No. He said, "You're lucky I don't beat that ass." Big difference, right? At what point in Miss Jenkins' testimony did she say anything that should lead you to believe that Mr. Smith intended to be provocative and malicious when he used the N-word? When asked that very question, what did she say? Do you remember? She said, "I don't know. I just didn't feel that it was right for him to say." Members of the jury, for good, bad, or otherwise, the N-word has been with us for a very long time. Is it a pretty word? No. Is it a word that we choose to use in our everyday lives? Of course it isn't. But neither is it a crime. By what stretch of the imagination could Mr. Jones expect you to believe that a black person's use of that word, in the context in which you've heard, could possibly be provocative and malicious? The water is now here. The murky waters that Mr. Jones has cast his assertions upon have all but consumed him, and there is not an ounce of reason we can expect to save him. He is drowning. But don't allow him to pull Mr. Smith down too. Mr. Smith is a young man. Not perfect, but like all of us here, he has promise. Thank you.